Hello, welcome back to another anime podcast presented by Last Choice Network. I'm Natalie, and today I am joined by my co-host Taylor Brown. And today we have a special guest. He is a member of the Last Choice Network, so maybe you've seen him around. So please welcome Ender.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Good.
So from what I understand, Ender, you don't know too much about anime.
Nothing.
Correct? Nothing at all?
Nothing at all. Like, I know it exists. I know that it is growing in popularity. And I have a lot of friends that are into it. I have just never stepped into the world or understand. My wife, the only thing I know about is my wife used to watch Sailor Moon. That's about it. Like, there's my knowledge that exists.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything specifically keeping you from it?
I don't know if there's anything keeping me from it other than like the lack of knowing where to start. So like it's this vast universe, and when you talk to people about it, they're incredibly passionate about like I've heard my friends go off on rants and about it. I'm just like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna step back because I got nothing to provide to this conversation, and also just have no idea like where do you start, where would be a good place for someone to get into anime that you know, I just have no idea. I mean, you just pull up like anime on Netflix, and it's just you just keep scrolling. There's tons out there. So it's just, I think it's just an overwhelming topic to just kind of jump into if you hadn't been into it for a while. So like, I guess let me ask you guys a question. How, being someone that's just trying to understand the world of anime, like, if I was just getting started, where would you guys recommend someone to start? Like, is there a certain series? Is there a certain place you would like recommend of like, hey, you know, this is where I think someone that's never been in anime should go ahead and go with this? What would be your guys' recommendation on that?
So it's really going to depend on like what you like. Like, what is your type of like movies do you like? What TV shows do you like? Like, do you like dramas? Do you like horrors? Do you like action? Like, really, it's going to depend on what you like, on what kind of anime you would want to start on. Maybe something like, let's say you're a real big action guy, you like maybe monster movies or something, and you like action, so maybe you'd start on something like Attack on Titan, where you have a lot of action. It gives you the titans that they're fighting. It really gives you something that you can attach yourself to actually start watching anime, and maybe that gets you into it.
So like, so you say Attack on Titan. So like, what is that? Like, what is it? Are they like, it's a monster thing or something at that point? Like, it's an action. Like,
So
what is this one that we're getting into there?
So Attack on Titan's really, it's more of monsters. Like, the Titans themselves are the monsters for that series. I don't want to go too much into it because it kind of spoils the rest of that
completely
series.
understand. Yeah.
But there's a lot of action. There's violence. It's a little bit of gore, a little bit of blood here and there. It's got a developing character arc with the main character and how he sees the world one side at the beginning, and then he kind of slowly transforms his view on the world throughout the entire series, and how everything is
cool,
not as it should be.
All right, I see what you're saying there. Cool. So like, that's there, but like, if we were going to get into, because like for me, most of the shows that I watch are really more in the line of like crime dramas. Like, that's kind of like my world that I like to stay in. So back in the day, it was the CSIs and things like that, and going through all of those. So is there like a good set of like crime drama that you could get into that, or something in that realm? Like, it doesn't have to hit it perfectly, but that would be in there for someone that does that. Like, currently I'm watching this show called Bull, which is basically a crime drama that's done in the courtroom. So it's all about different court cases and how they analyze different things there. But it seems like a lot of anime can cross like every genre you want. There's something there that you can fill with.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of studies about how anime is used to portray crime fighting or the idea of crime fighting. I know one that comes to mind right away, and it's a little bit of like a stay with me kind of thing, but Death Note. Death Note is like it's a critique of capital punishment in Japan. So essentially, what happens in Death Note is a high schooler finds a notebook that is dropped down from wherever by a Shinigami, which is the god of death, and whoever's name is written in the notebook dies. So this teenager takes it upon himself to, like, in his own way, by his own means, in his own definition, seek righteous justice. And that the way that this kind of and as the series progresses, I mean, basically some people agree with this guy, some people don't agree with this guy. You know, some people are like, yes, all these people should be dying. No, they shouldn't be. But the like grand scheme of thing is that it tackles the idea of like having, like, with capital punishment, everybody is complicit in it because we are agreeing that it happens, but nobody can like see who is actually carrying out that action. So it looks like nobody's really like complicit in it.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. Kind of like and it probably like minimizing this here, but kind of sounds like a Dexter type world where it's, you know, it's being written down in this notebook and one person is deciding whether or not something should happen and is this good or bad over the course of time. You're always struggling with that because one episode you're like, yay, good job, Dexter. The other episode you're like, I'm not really sure I agree with you on this one. At that point. So cool. All right, that's definitely interesting. Yeah, I think that helps get a better understanding. Is there like things that you would want someone to know before they start, like terminology or different things when you get into the world that you just, if you didn't know, you wouldn't? Because I know, like, one of my favorite games out there is World of Warcraft, you know, video game wise, and it's like I gotta prep some of my friends of like, here's some things you're gonna hear people talk about, and like, what would I need to know to actually be, you know, be able to have a conversation if I wanted to talk to somebody about this, like different terms or different like genres that we would have, or be able to understand if someone's talking to me like, oh, okay, I can kind of get what's going on there.
I touched like really lightly, I think on the first episode, just the two like basic genres, which were shoujo and shonen. So shoujo being anime that's primarily geared towards girls, and then shonen being primarily geared towards boys. Those are very basic categories, and within them, like, you can have all sorts of different genres, right? So, let me see. I would say like a slice of life, like, because that's what I like. That's primarily like a shoujo category, and that's more of like a. You can kind of think of it as a sitcom, like it's a 20-minute show where not too much happens. I guess it's like, you know, very basic plot. And then on like the other scale of things, you have like, you know, you have sci-fi, you have mech, and you have cyberpunk, which all like fit into this like futuristic kind of idea of anime, which has like is really broad in and of itself too.
And you know, from there, so you have those different places that you would go inside of that, and the other side of that is like where. So I've seen it on Netflix, like obviously that's their places, but where would you guys like recommend to how to consume different animes, or what's out there for people to be able to go watch? Is there, you know, is there free stuff out there that's easy for you to watch, or is it all like subscription streaming? Like, how do you, like something that's just easy to just get into and start watching?
So a lot of the major companies have gone into really subscription streaming. Funimation, Crunchyroll, which actually Funimation just bought Crunchyroll, so that's gonna be kind of interesting over the next couple months, because that'd be like Netflix buying HBO Max or something like that. Two big streaming companies merging into one. Netflix has always got its own series of animation, because they also have bought out rights to certain mangas, which are the actual like graphic novels that a lot of animes are based around. So when Netflix went in and bought rights to certain ones so that they could produce the animes for those certain mangas. And there are some free streaming sites, but it's still not technically legal for a lot of them because it's still torrenting streaming shows that should be paid for or watched over network television.
No,
But,
that makes complete sense. Yep.
Yeah, but I would recommend like either Funimation or Crunchyroll if you already have Netflix, you already have access to several more popular animes because Netflix has really been pushing hard to get those on there. So there's a really good starting place is Netflix actually. Hulu's got some on it that they've been buying out and getting the rights to play on there. But your two like main like anime streaming services are definitely Crunchyroll and Funimation.
I think that would give me the basis there. You know, I would just kind of ask more of like what from the outside point of view of someone that doesn't really look at this. A lot of times you look at it like, okay, you know, it's animation, it's here. Like what brings you guys to be so passionate around anime? Because sometimes it's hard to understand because I'm like, oh, it's cartoons, like they're fighting, they all look the same. I don't really understand it. Like, is it storyline? Like what? And I think you could say that about just about anything. Like, okay, you're watching another sitcom, like you're watching another TV show. It's just a bunch of people on the screen, like doing the same thing over and over again. But it's really, I really would like to understand from your guys' point of view of like what draws you into this world where you there's so much of it, and it seems like everyone that I talk to is so passionate about it. If you're in it, you're in it. If you're not, you're not. There's no like half in or half out at anime from what I've learned. Like you're either 100% or you're not. There's very people that sit on that line. So from someone that's being on the outside, like what is that passion for? What makes you guys keep coming back and going through all of these different stories, which I mean, some of them seem like they've gone on for, 20, 30 seasons. Like it seems like these things never end and there's always a new episode.
For me, it's really the art style. I've always been a fan of animation. I've always been a fan of traditionally drawn animation, I mean, even including Western animation. And as I grew older, I think I just grew to more appreciate the style and everything that can be done in animation, that you can't do with acting and with people. I like that there's a lot of like physical comedy in anime that just like you can't do like with people or with actors, like facial expressions and like actual like just like things that really push it like to me to be either like more funny or more gritty. Like it's all just like an exaggeration, and that's like what animation as a whole really is too, like not just anime. So that's really what has kept me with it. And like I said, that is like both for like Japanese anime and for Western anime or Western animation.
One thing that I think I mentioned this last episode a couple times, like there's a thing that they market most animes around, which is character development. And I feel like anime does a really, really good job of really marketing their characters because it draws me into so many animes where it really attaches you to this one character and then really builds that character, and you see that progression episode after episode. You may not notice it over like maybe 4 or 5 episodes, but then you get a season in and then you really start to notice how much that character has changed from that first episode you'd watched to where you're at now, and how much like the different views where they were at to now. They really do a spectacular job of building those characters into the story that they're trying to market for you. And like she said, like the exaggerated art styles, it also helps with that character building. Maybe at the beginning of the season, he was surprised by certain things he was seeing, but now you're 30 episodes in and it doesn't even faze him anymore. And it's the same thing that was just dropping him on the floor because he was in such surprise.
Oh, actually, wait, I have a cool example of this, of the animation thing. So like in Demon Slayer. So Demon Slayer is like it's more of like a historical anime about these kids who go and they fight demons, right? And they're like rural, and it's just like with like katanas or whatever. So in Demon Slayer, every sword movement is like animated with some sort of element. So like the main character's element is water. So whenever he's like swinging his sword around, like you see all this beautiful like water animation. But then like you like don't even realize it, but like like that isn't happening. Like that's not happening. That's not actually what it like looks like to them. They're just like fighting. But because of like that like exaggerated anime style and like they all have like this like elemental aspect, they're able to like add that into the movement and it makes it look really nice.
It's actually just getting my girlfriend to start watching that, so we just got into where Tandro just got his water breathing techniques and really getting to see that, and she's really enjoying it. But yeah, that is something you can't do. You could do it maybe with CGI, but it's not going to look the same.
Mhm.
And they can really detail in that art in the water and just really give it that extra effect of the pressure of water or how water flows smoothly through an object without being hindered.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense there. Yeah. That's a great. That was like a great example. I'm trying to. I'm like I can see that now as you're talking about it. I can actually like think of like, oh, that's very unique to that genre. Like I don't think you would be able, like you said, I don't think you'd be able to do that any other way than, maybe like the cheesy way they've done some of the the thing that comes into my mind of like the last Mortal Kombat movie, which was done like
Mhm.
horribly cheesy to make everything like, the ice sword or whatever it is. It's like, no, that's not really good. But the way you explained that was like, okay, that makes sense there of, yeah, they're not seeing it, but that's the actual feeling that the artist along with the storyteller is trying to get. You're gonna have two people telling a story. You don't have one. You have the art director who's obviously drawing it and doing all of that, and then you have the storyteller, which you're limited to the bounds of what the physical universe gives you in film. Whereas here, it seems like you can pretty much go wherever you want to go with it. If you can think it and draw it, that's what you're going to get. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's actually some. I'm gonna make an example that's not anime. There's an artist and writer that were so good at that exact thing that one could write and the other one could draw, and they could do on separate comics, but they would match up exactly how they wanted it. And that's Jack Kirby and Stan Lee in their prime when they were writing comics for Marvel. Like they didn't even have to really see what the other one was doing, but they knew it because they were so good at storytelling at that time. One could do it with art, and the other one could do it with his words.
So here's a real rookie question. What's the difference? So it's both like written, it's both drawn. What's the difference between like the comic world and the anime world when they're like I see on Netflix like there's Spider-Man that's out there. Like is that a part of it? Like what's the difference between a comic and an anime? Like is there a significant difference there? Is there something that I'm missing? Seems like they're both drawn, but I feel like there's a difference.
From what I've seen of comics, of Western comics, I don't super consume a lot of them. I've looked at a few here and there, but there are a lot of similarities. It seems to just be content, I guess. I mean, I guess whenever you think of Western comics, you go straight to like, you go to Marvel and DC, you think of the superheroes, but there are like other style of Western comics that are, I think, a little bit more overlooked since Marvel and DC are so overpowering in the American comic industry. But in that sense, I do think that there are a lot of like overlapping themes. I mean, comics do the same things that manga does. There isn't a lot of differences in that sense.
I think probably the biggest thing is probably the art styles in between the two. Even though they're both have their own significant like crossovers where they kind of look similar, but if you look at the actual like real Japanese heritage of a lot of the anime and mangas, like how they draw bodies and people, and then you go and look at comics, Western comics, and how they draw bodies and people, they're normally differences here and there, like maybe in the eyes, maybe in the way that they draw the body, maybe in the way that they draw the like how their muscle muscle tone looks on their body, and just the shapes that they use also, like maybe the background content. Like some artists will really delve into like the background content, and some of them will just kind of just skip over it and kind of just basic shapes and stuff, where a lot of times in animes and manga they really like to go into the detail in the background and what's going on besides just what's happening right in front of you. they really like to add in little extra features here and there. Where I do read a lot of Marvel comics. Occasionally you'll get a panel like that, but a lot of times they really want you to focus what's right there in front of you, like the people that are there. And there are some other ones that here, Western comics, that have been really good about doing background detail. Like Dark Horse Comics is really good at doing background detail that I've seen. And there's been a couple smaller companies that are starting to take some of that heritage and transfer it into Western comics.
Cool. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Yeah, I mean, I think I grew up more in line. Like my dad was a huge Aquaman fan. Like we grew up with Aquaman, everything, like every comic. Yeah, being in the Navy, it was one of those things. Like he was in the Navy, so like that was just, you know, he was always in his thing there. So he loved it. Yeah, I kind of grew up on that, but then, you know, I fell off on it completely. Like I was, as a kid, was like Ninja Turtles everything. Like that was just my whole thing. And then completely fell off of just about any animated anything. Like it really wasn't anything. And then really came back and started probably in high school, started noticing this coming back. But you know, didn't follow any of it. A lot of my friends, you know, grew up with Pokemon and a lot of the other stuff that was animated. I just never watched it. Just, I don't know why. It was just never one of those things. So I definitely want to get back into it and start, you know, getting there. So if you were going to leave me with like 2 things to go watch, what would it be? And I have Netflix. So like, is there 2 things you would say on Netflix, go watch? It's definitely worth the time to invest.
I mean, I would say Demon Slayer. I feel like Demon Slayer is a pretty good starter one. It's action, it's some fantasy, and I think it's really uniquely drawn. But another one, I know that my my like one that comes to my mind is Devilman, but I know that is like kind of intense. Maybe not good for the first one. It has a pretty intense first episode at least.
Cool.
There are some on Netflix that are really good, like they bought the rights to Seven Deadly Sins, which it's really lighthearted. The action sequences are pretty good, and it's pretty well drawn for the most part. There are some little errors here and there, but most people won't really catch those errors. But yeah, no.
So when you say errors, like what errors would you be getting? Like what would it be?
So when they do like anime like that, and they're animating it, a lot of it's like still. It's still drawn. So and sometimes when they draw it, they're in a hurry, and some of it comes out not the best quality, but they push it through. Like I know in Dragon Ball Z, there's one episode where they drew Goku in the background, and if you look at it, it's not even the character that should be there. Like it doesn't even look like the actual character. It's pretty awful, and they've gotten a lot of crap from it from different sources, from people pointing out, hey, why would y'all even do this? Why would y'all let people watch? Y'all didn't try here at all. But no, there's little errors like that you'll catch occasionally, but for the most part, most of it's pretty good. I will agree, Demon Slayer, I'm watching it for the second time with my girlfriend right now, and that anime is really, really good, and the way they emphasize stuff in that anime is amazing, because you know in your head it's not happening that way, but that's just how you see it. To them, they don't see it, but you're seeing it, and it really gives that added effect of, hey, this sword movement is like, it's like lightning, or it's like water, or this guy's swing force is like the force of fire. Like it's really cool how they do that.
Oh yeah, I definitely could take a look.
Listen, as the owner of Last Choice Network, I feel like I'm obligated. I'm allowed to butt into any podcast I want to. So hello, listeners. This is James III jumping in real quick here. You talked about Netflix, Ender. So I kind of want to know from Natalie and Taylor, because if you're old school like me, what about Voltron? Isn't Voltron considered anime? Because I love Voltron as a kid, and Netflix has been pumping out the seasons. And by the way, I didn't even realize this, but as a kid, there was only like 1 or 2 seasons of Voltron, but Netflix got like 3 or 4, and Ender, it's pretty good actually. Natalie, you're laughing at me, but is that?
I'm gonna take the expert's opinion on this. I'm not gonna take yours, so I'll throw it over to them.
I'm laughing because I watched the first episode and I didn't like it.
No, that's so good.
I'm sorry. But it's supposed to get one of those things where, like, I watched the first episode, I remember not liking it, and I don't remember why I didn't like it.
Because you knew James was gonna like it.
I have a lot of friends who like it. I have a lot of friends who really like it. I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
I'm not a fan either.
So
Yeah,
I think what we learned in that segment is, James, maybe you shouldn't jump in and add anything to those. It's not their fault if you have bad taste. I think that's really the way this is going.
I don't know. Natalie's first anime is probably in the top 10, maybe, of all time.
Definitely, yeah, it is.
Like, and that was her first choice of animes to watch, and it's in the top 10 of all time. So I don't know how you argue with that. I think Voltron might be unranked forever.
So you guys are questioning my taste in anime is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've only seen like 2 though, so I mean, it means it can only get better, right? Like,
you're I'm at 0, you're at 2. I'm already like, you're going backwards.
But isn't
I'm in a better
Voltron
spot than you are now.
Isn't that like an OG for anime world?
So I needed people to stop using the OG as it was good. Like, that doesn't mean it just means it's old. That doesn't mean it was good. It just means it was old. Like, I love that. But it's OG. Yeah, you're right. It's old. That's it.
It's called this little thing called nostalgia. It makes everything better in your eyes.
Makes everything better. It really does.
Waking up as a kid, sitting on the couch, getting up to the TV and turning the dial. You know, did you have to bend the antenna ears to make sure that you could like get the channel? I don't know. I didn't have those back then.
No, you had to put foil on them.
The foil to watch it?
Yeah.
I think I have learned a lot here. And I've also learned that I'm not going to listen to James. I'm going to listen to you guys. And I'm definitely going to take your recommendations and give it a shot. I mean, what do I got to lose?
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode. Once again, this was another anime podcast on the Lost Choice Network. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and on the Lost Choice Network YouTube page.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.